Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate.
Right? Okay. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And are we in full panic mode?
We're not in full. We're not getting reelected or up for election. So,
Right.
we're not in full panic mode.
So we are not in full panic mode. However, there is an election coming, I guess next year.
It'll be like 16, 18 months away or whatever the date is for the federal election. But the provincial election is going to be in October, I think.
Okay.
October for BC.
So
David Eby, unelected official, here's your chance to become elected. But with all of these policies and promises and changes and all of that, money promises,
yeah.
full panic mode.
Yeah. So what are we talking about? We're still talking about real estate. But let me read. We're gonna address specifically a report by the CBC, and I'm gonna read the headline. Federal government puts up $6 billion for housing, but there's a catch.
Do we know what the $6 billion goes towards? Well, let's go. I'm sure it explains something.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you some of what was in the report, okay? And this is not inclusive of everything, but I went through the whole report. I watched it, went through it, and pulled out some of the things we want to talk about, all right? More than $6 billion is on the table from the federal government, to the provincial government. But in order to access the cash, provinces and municipalities need to play by Ottawa's rules. We're not just going to put this money on the table, wash our hands of the issue, and walk away. We're going to insist that our partners make certain kinds of changes that make it easier and faster to build homes in this country, tying new infrastructure dollars to housing density, demanding a change to zoning rules to make way for more multi-units, including fourplexes, townhouses, and apartment buildings. The money should come to provinces who are going to do the work. Now, that's a comment directly from the minister or representative of the minister of the federal for the funding from the federal government. So basically what they're saying is if they don't do it according to these guidelines that Ottawa is laying out or going to lay out, that they're not going to be getting the money, right? Also, they added municipalities will have their own set of federal rules to follow. Ottawa is demanding a cut to red tape to allow high-density housing next to post-secondary institutions and transit lines. There's a little bit more, but that's the main part of what we want to talk about. And to me, right off the bat, I think I may have said this once or twice, that we need to make it easier for builders and developers to do what they do. And we do that by removing the red tape and streamlining the bureaucracy to get approvals for projects and the whole process.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the federal plan. The provincial plan has sort of target goals. So even for like Oak Bay, which is an affluent municipality, they want a certain amount, which like on average, they just don't build that much. And they're very much like, don't build in my backyard. Like, we don't want an apartment building. We don't want to change Oak Bay. And I can understand that. That's what people...
that's one of the reasons people live in Oak Bay.
Yeah, they want that sort of thing. They don't want it to change. And I don't know if they're obligated, like from a municipal perspective, to provide types of housing. Well, they can say no. That's what the public hearings, the forums, whatever. And I think say we don't want this project here.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Is if a municipality says no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, they'll delay it 10 years or more.
Yeah, you'll just you're not going to get the money.
Yeah, they're offering a carrot for these incentives.
Yeah,
but the incentives, I'm just picking on Oak Bay because of, like seriously, are they going to put affordable housing in Oak Bay? Like
It's unlikely.
It's more likely like going to be in Victoria somewhere, right? And then if somebody's working there, you got a Starbucks right there. So if you work at Starbucks, and you're working like more than one job and you're trying to make ends meet, you'll probably be living in Victoria.
Yeah.
You might have your job in Oak Bay or something like that.
Yeah.
So these provincial guidelines for municipalities also offer money to support this faster growth, faster development. And this is supposed to be coming in ways that like they'll electronify a lot of the permit processes and approval processes.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly if that's going to improve things, or maybe that goes towards hiring more bodies to look at these permits and redevelopment plans. But looking at the $6 billion, if you're splitting it across the 13 provinces and territories, you only get $461 million. And now start splitting that between municipalities that are trying to make improvements. Well, it's probably a lot of money to like a single municipality. There's 13 municipalities just in Victoria.
Yeah.
So, you start splitting that, that's 10 million each or whatever. And then you got the Lower Mainland, there's like a whole bunch there. Like, it's sort of like sprinkles a little bit of money that affects like one municipality.
Sure.
Like, I don't know, I think 10 million to Langford would be incredible, but they just raise our property taxes 15%. So they want money. They'll just increase the cost of living.
Yeah. And I think the other thing where we started and prefaced all of this with saying it's full on panic mode. I think these are also things that there's an election coming. They're planning ahead for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if we must have touched on this already at some point. Like federally, they are proposing a renters charter of rights.
Right.
So like renters' lives matter, right? Mm-hmm. So they want to bring in, and we talked about the credit score, depending on which video comes first when I publish them.
Yeah.
They talked about a credit score tied to your rentals. Well, I looked into it a little bit further, and I can't remember the exact number, but it's plus minus 5% of first-time homebuyers' mortgage applications are rejected because of credit. Around 5%.
Okay.
The rest are either approved or rejected based on their gross debt service ratio.
Got it.
It's basically how much money, how much debt do you have? Yeah. Can you repay the loan?
Sure.
Nothing to do with your credit score anymore.
Right.
Well, maybe it is a little bit, but that's not the deciding factor.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another full panic mode. All they want to do is like vote. They think they have solutions, and I haven't seen like in the past 10 years.
Yeah. I think the one thing this potentially could do also, which is a little bit more political than strictly real estate based, is that there's not a real good relationship right now between the provinces and the federal government. And this is probably, depending on how it's carried out and how it's done, is probably not going to help that.
Well, yeah, we have, the federal government has sort of like had many failures. And this is a cycle too, right? So if we were with one political party in power for a while, like after like 2 terms, the Canadian people sort of get tired of that, and then we switch the other way.
Yeah.
And then after a while, we get tired of that, and it's like we don't really, we kind of keep moving along. We sort of make an improvement here, but we screw it up all over there, right? So
yeah. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but they're throwing out all kinds of promises.
Yeah, ultimately we'll see what happens, and it sounds like, I think that's the thing too. It sounds like a huge number, $6 billion, but when
it's 461 million per province and territory.
Right, which is still, that's a significant amount of money. No exaggeration on that part. But if you figure out how many municipalities that you're going to break that between in BC, for example, like we said, there's 13 in Victoria.
I don't know how many.
And then, move up island, and you've got Duncan, and then you're, Chemainus, Ladysmith, Onton, Nanaimo, and so on and so on.
So if the municipality, city, whatever it might be, doesn't meet the requirements from the government, they don't get the money.
That's right.
So
So for some, it won't apply. Where are you putting up a fourplex in Chemainus? Or not a fourplex. Let's say a condo. Where are you putting up a condo in Chemainus?
yeah, I understand.
Like
you might.
It's doable. I shouldn't say that it's not doable. I'm just saying that it's going to require a lot more effort and work to do because it's of where it is and what kind of community it is.
Yeah, mainly like single family detached homes, old homes there, right? Yeah, absolutely.
And there's some condos there too, but yeah.
But very few and far in between. Yeah, you want to be closer to amenities if you want like high density.
Right.
So yeah, it just might not apply for communities like that.
Yeah, but if you're dealing with Nanaimo or we're talking about Victoria or Vancouver, or, you know, if you talk about Vancouver, now you've got Richmond, Burnaby, Surrey, White Rock, and on and on and on.
Well, even if it's any one of those municipalities or Victoria or Greater Victoria area, you're going to build a fourplex. What are you going to have? You're going to have $1 million units anyways based on like cost. Like you have to buy the property, tear it down. Oh, and in Victoria, you have to tear it down like one little stick at a time and then dispose of everything.
Right.
That's hazardous materials.
Sure.
So it's like the longest, most expensive way to like tear down a house. Mm-hmm. And then of course they're going to, their annual budget, and this is probably the same across municipalities that have a high amount of like construction.
Yeah.
They rely on that income for their budget.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
They tax the building of the home or the permit of the home.
Yeah.
To boost up their incomes.
Right.
The city's income is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I think that kind of gets the gist of it. I don't know that we have any real answers at this point because we don't know what it's all going to look like. It's one of the things we found out.
It's not going to solve any housing crisis.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think one of the things we found out is you can roll out something in broad brushstrokes, general terms, and it sounds wonderful. Mm-hmm. But we just still don't know the brass tacks of how it's going to be executed and how it's going to be implemented and all of these things. So
yeah, more details will come from that.
Once we have more details, we'll certainly talk about them. But thank you for joining us today. If you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. We do put out 4 or 5, some weeks even 6 videos. So you want to make sure that you don't miss anything in terms of stuff that we're covering. And it's not going to be long. I don't know where you are, but here in Victoria, we're well into spring. Spring's late coming this year, I think. But we're starting to see all the spring market was happening in Machosen there. I drove by it. Not the farmer's market, but the spring market at the community center this weekend. So all these things are starting to happen. So we're going to get back out in the community.
It's been beautiful here. You just came back from Edmonton.
I did.
When you were telling me the weather there, the temperature there, I was just like, I'm just detached from like the rest of Canada because it's nice here, right?
Right. And it's funny because my daughter and I went to the Oilers game.
Yeah.
And so had a great time I haven't been, and my daughter certainly hasn't, but I haven't been to the new building. Last game I went to was at, wasn't called Northlands anymore. It was Rexall or whatever it was called. So anyway, we watched the game. Game's over. We come out and I take an exit that doesn't go through the pedway. So we're basically outside to walk to the parkade.
Okay.
And it's, I don't know, about -15 to -18, and the wind is blowing and stuff. And as we're walking, my daughter's like, Dad, I can't feel my ears anymore. Dad, I can't feel my face. It's like, you're fine.
Yeah, while we were barbecuing in the backyard.
Right. I was like, this is normal. It's all right. You're going to be fine. So anyway, we are going to be out in the neighborhood and talking to people in community events. So if you have something coming up that you think would be great for us to come out and be part of, let us know. We would love to do that and join you for that. Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.